Dear Diary, I felt it again today. That strange weakness, as if all energy suddenly disappeared from my body. It lasted only a few seconds, but again it made me wonder how much time I have left in this place. I guess everyone thinks about it every now and then, when their time here is up, and how it will happen. The exit. Thinking about it often makes people wonder if there is something after this life. Is there a higher power that's watching over us? Dear Diary, I think that thanks to a certain tiny creature, I am a bit closer to the answer to that question. Let me tell you what happened. I was walking on a quiet street when I saw an earthworm crawling on asphalt. The sun was shining. It was a very warm day. The worm was clearly exhausted, but it kept on going. It was heading towards a big parking lot. Because it had no eyes, it had no way of knowing where it was heading. It was crawling on in darkness. It had no understanding of the vastness of the world around it. It was just desperately searching for soft soil where it could dig itself in and be safe. I, with my superior senses, could see what was going to happen. I knew that if the worm kept on heading that way, it would face certain death. It was crawling towards a parking lot where a car wheel could roll over it, or a human could step on it. And even if those things did not happen, the burning sun would soon kill it, because there was no soil to protect it. The worm, of course, had no idea of any of this. It kept crawling forward, hoping that it would soon run into soft soil. As I was looking at the worm, I had a strange feeling. I suddenly realized that from the point of view of the worm, I was a godlike creature with the ability to see its future, because I had eyes, a superpower from the worm's point of view. I could see there was only asphalt ahead. I could see into the future of the worm. Many people think earthworms are insignificant creatures. Many do not know that an earthworm can live up to 10 years old. So an earthworm on the street can be a lot older than a child in first grade. An earthworm can learn. It has to, in order to survive for so long. This worm was very big. It may have been around for even 10 years. That meant it has survived all sorts of challenges. It felt very sad to think that its life would end on a hot parking lot simply because it was going the wrong way without knowing it. I decided to interfere with the worm's destiny. I was afraid to touch it with my hands, so I picked it up with the stick and carried it to a nearby grass. Safety was only a few meters away, but the worm could not see it. Blind as it was, it could not know that if it only turned to the left, safety would have awaited there. The worm squirmed, horrified, as I gently slid the stick under it and lifted it from the ground. It probably thought it was being attacked by a predator, perhaps a bird, and it was using the last of its strength to fight for its life. I dropped the worm onto the grass. At first, it moved just a bit, as if to examine its surroundings. As soon as it realized it was on soft soil, it quickly started digging itself into the ground. Soon it had disappeared, to live perhaps another year or even more. I stood there, watching it as it dug itself to safety of its dark underground world. "It was not yet your time," I said quietly. Only then I realized what had just happened. The worm had been heading to a deadly place, without even realizing it, when I, a godlike being, had decided to interfere. I had lifted up with the stick, an act that the worm could not understand. It probably thought it had barely managed to escape a predator. Without eyes, it had no idea there was a human being at the end of the stick helping it. It had no idea that what had appeared like the worst nightmare, being lifted up into the air, was in fact the best thing that had ever happened to it. I was wondering, what if I was like that earthworm? And if I was, what kind of being might be observing me, even at this very moment, without me knowing it, just as I had been observing the worm as it was crawling on in darkness? Is there someone observing me at this very moment? And that made me think of something else. What if all those things in my life that I had felt bad about had in fact been helpful events? Had I been lifted up and set on a new path, so that I would not continue heading in the wrong direction? All those moments when I had hoped that I could have continued my life in a certain way, and felt I was unlucky when it was not possible, without realizing that by continuing in that certain direction, destruction would have awaited ahead. How many times had I been lifted up in my life? Dear Diary, I think that is an amazing, exciting thought. And the best thing is that it is very likely to be true. Because if it was not, that would mean humans are the highest beings in this universe. And considering the vastness and nature of the universe, that seems quite unlikely. So, my dear diary, my encounter with the worm made me realize that in this place, things might not be what they seem. In the shadows of this universe, so much remains hidden. And that made me view my current situation in a whole new light. So, today, when I once again felt the weakness, as if all energy was sucked away from my body, and I wondered how much time I have left in this place, I was thinking about the worm, and it made me feel much better. I can sense there is someone watching. It's a good feeling. Dear diary, I have so many things I wish to tell you about this universe, about these strange biological forms that call themselves humans, roaming on the surface of this planet, about the souls that inhabit these biological bodies. How wonderful this learning experience is, and how grateful I am of each second, despite all the hardships. But for now, I need to allow this biological machinery of mine some rest. I will tell you about all these other things tomorrow. For now, good night, my dear diary. As always, thank you for listening.